This interview is Leigh Klotz, Senior of Macomb, Mississippi.
Not junior.
I said senior. He can't hear well anymore, but
Don't correct the interviewer.
that's right. And he's being interviewed by his daughters, Carmen and Leah, on November 17th, 2008, 5 days before his 88th birthday. So, Daddy, tell us, well, first of all, tell us what year you were born. I know there was some confusion
No,
about
it's
in the Bible versus...
absolutely told that correctly that I am 1920 is my birthday.
Okay, because there was some confusion, and what was the source of the confusion?
My mother put it in the Bible, and it looked like a 1 instead of a 0, but actually it was a 0. My birth certificate says 1920.
Okay, and you were the fourth or fifth of how many children?
I would be the 5th one.
Okay, and you had 4 brothers.
I had 4 brothers. They're all deceased now, but one,
And his name is,
Paul,
and he lives in.
Natchez, Mississippi.
So what was it like when you were growing up on Broadway Street in Macomb in the 1920s?
Well, we was a big crowd of teenagers and youngsters around the neighborhood. And every afternoon during the football season, we played football out in the street. Only occasionally, while we interrupted by a car. Later, as the football season ended, we played hockey on skates. But we were always doing something in the afternoon.
Tell me about your pets. I know you've told me before that you had like an alligator and a goat and...
Yeah, my first pet, of course, was dogs of some kind or another. Then we went to Florida, and I wanted an alligator. Actually, it's a kaolin from South America that I bought. My mother bought for me. And we brought him home and fed him hamburger meat. Didn't have any fish for him. But one day he crawled out into the street, which was 51 highway. A car ran over him and killed him. And I was hoping that it was a Yankee, because they would have gone home and said that Mississippi has alligators in the streets. Next, I had more dogs and a 3-legged cat that was born with 3 legs. Hobbled around just as good as the rest of the cats. Then I got a bird dog. Took him out hunting and shot the gun the first time he ran home. So I never took him out again. He was gun shy. And the only thing he was noted for was howling. You could say, "Trouble? Go roo-roo." He'd go, "Woo-roo!" Next animal other than dogs I had was an ocelot. I got her when she was 3 months old and kept it till she was almost 20. She died at 20 years. Had a lot of fun with her.
Well, what about your parents? Tell me a little bit about
Had 2 parents.
both of them.
Had 2 parents. One, my mother was named Edith Leach Klotz. My dad was F. Paul Klotz. He was a doctor. My mother was a nurse. And they had a long life in Macomb, above 80 years each.
Where did they meet?
What?
Where were they when they met?
They were, my dad was at Tulane University in medical school. My mother was a nurse at Tulane Infirmary.
And where had they come from before they came to New Orleans?
Well, my mother was born in Beaumont, Texas, moved to Florida, then to
Kansas.
Correction, Beaumont, Kansas?
Then to Beaumont, Kansas. And my dad was born in Clarksville, Louisiana. His father had a sugar plantation there.
Did you ever meet your grandparents?
No, they were dead before I was born, all of them.
So, did your father grow up on the plantation?
Oh, yeah.
And his parents came from France?
They came from Alsace-Lorraine, which was at that time under the French rule.
But they came over with a German name?
Yeah.
Because it went back and forth between France and Germany.
Well, they spoke French. They didn't speak German.
So your grandfather spoke French and English?
Yeah. He was in the Civil War, too, and captured by the Yankees, and was in a lot of the battles. He was in the Army of Northern Virginia.
Robert E. Lee's army.
Uh-huh.
What was his name?
I don't know.
Abraham?
Yeah. Anyhow, he escaped, put on a blue hat, which was the Yankee color, and the Yankees were marching toward the south. He just marched with them. And when he hit Louisiana, he cut out and got loose.
All right. And we're all here today thanks to his ingenuity. Okay, so your mother's parents, you never met them either,
Oh, no.
but you know a little bit about them, right?
Very little. Grandmother died in New Orleans,
Your mother's mother.
and her father died in what was it, in Florida?
Oh, around Sarasota?
Yes.
Well, what was his name?
J.C. Leigh,
And her name was,
Edith, Vivian.
and then she named your mother.
No,
Yeah.
that was his mom.
Oh,
First time I was
yeah.
around.
Yeah, I was talking about your grandmother's name. Your mother's name was,
She was a Ballard, B-A-L-A-R-D. I don't think I knew her first name.
and so your mother's name was Edith Gertrude.
Yeah. She changed to Edith Vivian.
Okay. So what was it like at Macomb High School when you were there?
It was great. It was a good school. We had a lot of fun. We had a good football team.
Did you play?
Yeah, some, but I could have been the first string quarterback my senior year, but I'd fallen Fairlane by then, and I just gave it up.
What were your other activities, like the
I was,
school paper?
I was vice president of the senior class, no, the junior class, and I was editor of the Tiger Rags.
The newspaper?
Yeah.
Now, how much younger, what class was Mother in?
She was 3 years behind me, let's see. I graduated in 1940, she must have graduated in 1937.
No,
36.
it reversed.
Be the other way. You graduated before her, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she graduated in 43.
No, that was when I was born, 43.
How many years older were you?
I'm 3 years older.
Only 3. Okay. And so,
She was 30, it must have been 36.
and so when you all first
We
started
married
dating,
one day after she graduated.
okay. So you all had dated how long before you got?
3 years.
3 years. So you graduated and then you hung around Macomb
I went to Southwest Junior College.
so you could date her.
Uh-huh.
And then as soon as she graduated at age 17, right? That's what she told me. She was a year early, yeah. And so what did her mother say when you all went back and told her that you had eloped?
I said, you were married. And she said, you better not be.
Didn't y'all wait about a year before you told them?
No.
That's what
We
she
were
told
going
me.
to go to college. Both of us would go to LSU.
LSU.
Uh-huh.
Now the truth comes out.
Yeah.
Well, I was